Peace, D-Bay. How you doing, brother? See, our man Rob putting in that work today.
Demi!
Yes, Mama.
I know. You still trying to shake it off. Come over here and put your shoes on. Get Kente or tell him, come on, we about to walk around.
Alright, when I'm done, I'll catch up with you. Oops. Don't want to block the camera.
Oh, you gonna sit right here?
Yeah, do a quick log.
Well, can they stay?
Huh?
Because look at him, he grabbing all on them.
Who?
Demi. I'm saying if they want to play over there and stay and play, can they?
Yeah, I'm watching them. They can stay here.
No, I was just saying me and Buddha gonna walk around. He said he got the itis, yo.
That food was good though.
Y'all can play. Keep playing.
You said that you play?
Yes.
I'll call you when I'm done if I gotta fly you.
Okay, well, as long as you can see them. They stand right there. Demi's doing good.
Yeah, I see him. Alright, what's good, family? What's good with y'all? So I'm about to finish up on this treaty. Articles 21 and 25. I don't need the pen. I'm done with it.
No worries.
Email is suneluniversity@gmail.com. sununiversity@gmail.com. Getting ready for the road. She'll be fine. It's like a precursor. It's like uff, no blow. But yeah, so join this nice day, this nice moon day. And so we're gonna break down this treaty. Starting with Article 21. Now I wrote down some of the changes that was made from the translation because I'm not at a computer right now. I'm outside. So brought a printed out version and I made the adjustments where it needed to be, where it needed to be made. Y'all can see. So, 21. If a citizen of the United States should kill or wound a Moor, or let me just read it. Alright. So, 21. If a citizen of the United States should kill or wound a Moor, and let me know if y'all can hear me clear or not. Alright? If a citizen of the United States should kill or wound a Moor, or on the contrary, if a Moor shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States. Now, in the translation of the treaty, For a citizen of the United States, it says Christian. For a citizen of the United States, it says Christian. So, if a Christian should kill or wound a Moor, or on the contrary, if a Moor shall kill or wound a Christian, the law of the contrary shall take place, and equal justice shall be rendered. The consul assisting at the trial, and if any delinquent shall make his escape, the consul shall not be answerable for him in any manner whatever. So when it says that the law of the country shall take place, in the treaty, in the original translation, it says Mohammedan law. Mohammedan law, because we are the Mohammedans. You understand? Alrighty. Alrighty, just making it clear. So once again, Article 21, United States citizen or citizen of the United States is a Christian. Alright, according to the translation. Here we go. 22. If an American citizen shall die, and pay attention to number 22, y'all. Pay really, really close attention to article number 22. If an American citizen shall die in our country, and no will shall appear, the consul shall take possession of his effects. And if there shall be no consul, the effects shall be deposited in the hands of some person worthy of trust, until the party shall appear who has a right to demand them. But if the heir, that's H-E-I-R, if the heir to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruption. And if a will shall appear, the property shall descend agreeable to that will, as soon as the consul shall declare the validity thereof. So Article 22, peace. So Article 22 is speaking to the process of what we're doing on the commercial side. You see, they're dealing with estates and wills. So so let me put it like this: if a Christian were to die in Morocco, right, and their estate happened to be here. Matter of fact, let me paint a better picture. Let me paint a more realistic picture. If you have a Moor and they die, and they happen to be a U.S. citizen when they die, they're awarded estate. When they die, their estate is going to be left in the hands of the agents and agencies of the United States Corporation, right, to be held. Now, what it's saying is that either a consul, either a consul or someone who is worthy of trust, that is who the estate will be left with. Either the consul or somebody worthy of trust. So in this particular essence, if you're a U.S. citizen, then the consul for the U.S. would technically be, if I have to say it, it would be the Pope. And then under the Pope will be the President of the United States. So that would be Donald Trump. You understand? So with that being said, or somebody worthy of trust, and the person worthy of trust can be any of the agents or agencies of the United States, including the United States courts, judges, etc., etc., right? Because they're the ones running game on everyone's estate. So if a Christian were to die, if a Moor were to die as a U.S. citizen, then their estate would be held. Now, let's say if you have a bloodline, you have someone of their bloodline who later on wakes up to the fact that they are Moors, kind of like we are, right? That they're Aboriginal and Indigenous, and that they are not U.S. citizens, and that they repatriate back to their true country of citizenship. Now, what that means is Article 22 kicks in. Now, let's backtrack. You reclaim yourself, you come up out of Rome, and you establish your trust. Now you can do what Article 22 states, which is you can claim the estate of your past relatives, whether or not they were U.S. citizens, because you have the right by blood. So whether they knew it or not, you can still save their estate today. Okay? Because they are still Moors by bloodline. And the best part is that you realize it today, you can reclaim all their estates today. So that means your grandmother, your grandfather, your aunt, your uncle, your aunties, your cousins, whoever you have information regarding their social security, you know what I'm saying? Well, not their social security, but the social security for the straw, which their estate is being held within. You understand? Because they're the principal of that, but they lived their whole life as incompetent in law as a minor. They lived their entire life as a minority, so it don't matter. It didn't matter after they hit the age of 18, because once 18 hit, and they still refer to themselves as black, nothing changed. The body got bigger, but it's as if the body got bigger, but it's as if the mind, not as if, but that's exactly what it is. The mind capacity stayed the same. So it's like trying to leave an estate over to a 3-year-old child and tell them, hey, I need you to manage this estate, run it. I need you to assign trustees. I need you to go out there and establish things, for the beneficiaries. You think that 3-year-old's going to be able to do all that? Of course not. They're not at an age where they are competent to do that. Even if they're 60 and they're not, and they still refer to themselves as Negro, black, colored, or U.S. citizen, then they are ward. They are deemed incompetent still. All right. So it don't matter. So this is how we can go back and claim our aunties, our uncles. This is part of the reparation process. Self-reparations. We're not waiting for nobody to give it to us. We're taking things back and putting it back in its proper perspective. So that's what Article 22 is. It's a biggie. All right. So remember now, we have a right to our mother, father, their mothers and their fathers, any aunts, uncles, cousins whose estates have been abandoned and you are aware of their estates, then go reclaim it. And make sure you pass that down to your generations, because that is their birthright. That is the work that our ancestors left behind. We have a right to reclaim that. If we don't claim it, then it remains abandoned. And abandonment isn't honorable, y'all. I just want y'all to know that. Abandonment isn't honorable. Never abandon. That's when you relinquish all honor. All right, so that's done with Article 22. Let's go on to Article 23. Now, the consuls of the United States of America shall reside in any seaport of our dominions. You know what a seaport means? Seaport, meaning they can be in any of the seaports. Also, since this is a modern day and time, we also have many other type of ports. We also have a bus port, a terminal port, an airport, a car port, a boat port. You understand? So, especially dealing with this modern day and age, the airport, right? With everyone having a passport, so they can pass through these different ports, okay, which are under Christian dominion. I say Christian occupation. But as long as you have your passport that is in alignment with the treaty, then you will always be able to go to any port as yourself and always be under the laws of Morocco, or I would say the Mohammedan laws. All right, so let's read. The consuls of the United States of America shall reside in any seaport of our dominions that they shall think proper, and they shall be respected and enjoy all the privileges which the consuls of any other nation enjoy. And if any of the citizens of the United States, aka Christians, shall contract any debts or engagements. Now, in the translation, it said that if you have any debt, if you get into any, this is speaking for Christians, right? Aka U.S. citizens. Any Christians shall encounter or shall contract any debts or engagements with Muslims. That's what it says in the translation. With a Muslim. And it's not in writing, right? The consul shall not be in any manner accountable for them, unless he shall have given a promise in writing for the payment or fulfilling thereof, without which promise in writing no application to him for any redress shall be made. So now this is dealing with latches. Okay? So now, speaking from a Christian standpoint, if a Christian gets into any bad dealings with a Muslim and they want grievances or redress, the only way to get grievances or redress from the Christian standpoint, it has to be in writing. It can't be verbal. It has to be in writing. If they're going to bring a Muslim to court for a debt owed. So now you understand today why it's so important to get us to agree to things, to sign things, and why it's even more important that we know how to read contracts. So that way we know exactly what we're signing ourselves into. Because sometimes we can be signing ourselves into heaven, or we could be signing ourselves right into hell. All right. And for those who can't read, they've been to hell often. For those who can read, we've seen heaven. We can't get enough of it. Can't get enough of it, baby. Can't get enough of it, baby. Heaven. So it's all about contracts, man, and agreements. What type of covenants are you making out there in the world, y'all? So speaking about Article 23, as you can see, the only way that Europeans are able to process us in their courts is because they have contractual agreements in writing. They have promises made on our behalf via writing. So when they give you a traffic citation and you sign that, and you sign that suit, you agree to that contract. Now they have something in writing. And remember, they can only process or attempt to sue you or even do anything in terms of damaging you unless they have it in writing. They can't do anything to you unless they have it in writing, which is why it's so important the type of contracts you maintain and the things you use to contract. Okay? So if you're utilizing a state ID as a U.S. citizen and it's not reflecting in your status that you're an alien, you understand, then that's a promise in writing that you are subject to the laws of the United States. And anything in particular. All right? I'm going to read number 23 again. I don't want it to wave over people's heads. Everything is about contracts. They get us all by contracts. So it's like, what's the first step after you nationalize? You better know how to read contracts, yo. Article 23. The consuls of the United States of America shall reside in any seaport of our dominion that they shall think proper. Right? So us as consuls, diplomats, representatives on behalf of the Moorish Empire, we have a right to reside in any seaport. Let me tell you what the different seaports are. So right now, I'm domiciling in North America, but there's a seaport doing business on my part of the dominions called Washington State. Somewhere there's somebody where there's a entity doing commerce at their seaport, and the name of that seaport is called LA or Los Angeles, or another seaport called Nevada, and another seaport called Connecticut, and another seaport called New York, and another seaport called Philadelphia, and another seaport called Maine, and another seaport called Virginia. You see where I'm going with this? Because everything is based on admiralty and maritime law. Okay? So Washington State is a figment of my imagination. It's a thought. It's an idea in someone's brain. Not my brain, but an idea in someone's brain. Okay? And the idea is to get that thought into other people's brains. So that way they all form and make that a reality. Okay? It's all a concept. It's a figment of my imagination. Now, my mind is very powerful, so I can make it real if I wanted to. I can make Washington State real. It could be very real for me to where they can bring redress against me for suits because they'll have actual things in writing. They'll have actual contracts. I don't have a state ID. I don't have a Washington State ID. Although I will say, in the process of getting the passport, I will be getting a state ID. But not as a U.S. citizen. You understand? Because I'm entitled to do business in the United States in pursuance to my treaty of amity and commerce. Don't you comprehend? This is all about commerce. But other than commerce, it's about nationality and principles and standards and birthrights. That's private. That's for me and my family. That's for me and my other Aboriginal indigenous peoples. But when I'm out in the public, we're conducting commerce. We're securing each other's estate. We're also going in and retrieving those lost estates of our ancestors who didn't have a chance to right the wrong, to correct the record, to correct the error. So put their souls at ease, reclaim their lost estates, and bring that back into your family. All right? So it's all about the type of contracts you make, and especially when you make contracts without reserving your rights, yo. This treaty is a contract. It's an agreement. It's a covenant. All right? So that's Article 23. All right. Article 24. We almost done, y'all. If any differences shall arise by either party infringing on any of the articles of this treaty, peace and harmony shall remain notwithstanding in the fullest force until a friendly application shall be made for an arrangement, and until that application shall be rejected, no appeal shall be made to arms. Meaning no matter what, no one goes to war. We just be at a standstill, meaning we just be stuck like a dam that no longer has flowing water running through it. You know what happens when you leave a dam stuck? It's worse than going to war. It dams up. It becomes dirty. All right? It becomes uninhabitable. That's worse than going to war. In the fullest force until a friendly application shall be made for an arrangement, and until that application shall be rejected, no appeal shall be made to arms. And if a war shall break out between the parties, because nobody's perfect, and if shit goes that bad to war actually does break out, if a war shall break out between the parties, 9 months shall be granted to all the subjects of both parties. 9 months shall be granted to all the subjects. So either you're a subject of the Moorish Empire or you're a subject of a Christian nation. 9 months shall be granted to all the subjects of both parties to dispose of their effects and retire with their property. So if we were to actually go to arm to arm warfare, then we would be each granted 9 months to retrieve all of our affairs, all of our property to be put somewhere safe. Our children, our women, our families, everything to be put somewhere safe. Continuing. And it is further declared that whatever indulgences in trade or otherwise shall be granted to any of the Christian powers, the citizens of the United States shall be equally entitled to them. And remember, citizens of the United States are Christians. So when in retrospect from the translation, they're talking about us. Okay? And then they're talking about the Christians. So what they're saying is, after those 9 months, right? Whatever property is left over, whatever's left behind, whatever estate's been abandoned, as I should say, the Christians shall be equally entitled to them. So the only way they're equally entitled to things is after we abandon it. If we choose not to abandon it, then we have the superior claim. We only lose the superior claim when we abandon it. And the only way these Christians can bring you into their courts is if they have contracts with you or promises in writing. So understand what we say when we say it's important to know how to contract as yourself. Remember, we are non-immigrant aliens. And trust me, the next video, the next live I do is going to be a goodie. Because upon going through this research, I found an amendment and a repeal act upon aliens trading with the enemy. Okay, an executive order. So I'm going to be reading that. And funny thing, it goes right in line with citizens of the United States who haven't been properly naturalized. So who you think they're talking about? Remember I said if you haven't been properly naturalized in the United States, meaning if you haven't gone before the marshal or the DA and actually did the, I declare, to relinquish all allegiance to all foreign monarchies, sovereigns. And once you do that, you're relinquishing all allegiance to your mother country, whether you knew it or not. So what they're saying in that amendment, and once again, I'm going to go into it deeper, but it's saying that if you are a U.S. citizen, right, a resident, if you are a resident, but, what's it say? Oh, you haven't gone through the full naturalization process, but you're claiming to be a U.S. citizen, then you'd be considered an enemy alien. So remember now, if you're black and you're a U.S. citizen, right, you're claiming to be a resident of these particular Christian seaports, when it's time for shit to go down, they're going to take you. You're going to be taken. So trust me, that one's going to be a really, 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 really good bill. That one's going to be a really good bill. A really good bill. All right. So we're going to wrap up this treaty here. Now, this treaty is Article 25. This treaty shall continue in full force with the help of God for 50 years. We have delivered this book in the hands of the before mentioned Thomas Barclay on the first day of the blessed month of Ramadan in the year 1200. I certify that the annexed is a true copy of the translation made by Isaac Cardoza Nunez, interpreter at Morocco, of the treaty between the Emperor of Morocco and the United States of America. Thomas Barclay. And that's the treaty, y'all. And now people ask, well, how do we know that the treaty is still long-lasting? Because for one, they're still talking about the treaty in the news. All right? The last time the treaty was spoken about was in 2008 when Obama was in office. And he spoke about how Morocco was the first country to grant United States recognition. Okay? So there's your proof right there. Also, if you continue to read the congressional records, after the initial sultan died, his son took over as the heir, next heir in line. So what the United States wasn't too certain about is whether or not he would honor the initial covenant made by his father, meaning the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. So the United States was in a very nervous position for a couple years through that time period. So that's why if you read that, then it'll bring clarity as to the perpetualness of this treaty and the fact that if any changes were to be made or anyone wanted to be dissolved, then you'd have to publish something in writing and send it to the proper authorities within 4 years. So that means year number 46 before year 50 hits. If no one says anything by year 46, the treaty continues for another 50. So it's a self-renewing treaty. If no objections are made on year 46 of the treaty, then it automatically continues for another 50. And that's how it's been rocking. And that's why it's the longest lasting treaty in world history. Not just American history, not just in European history, but in world history. All right. So with that being said, fam, I'm about to wrap it up. I'm going to leave it at that. I didn't want to make this too long. You know what I'm saying? The last 5 articles of the treaty. So now I've completely done the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. If anyone needs clarity, you can go back and rock through them yourself at your own pace. All right? Islam. All right then, family. I'm about to get out of here. I'm about to get back and enjoy my family and chill out and enjoy the rest of Amen Rock. All right, fam. Y'all do the same. Peace.